Drishti IAS in this new program Places in News brings to you a pioneering initiative. By using maps, we aim to make it simpler for you to learn about geographical locations of important places that have been in news in the recent past. We will be covering 5 places for this session: Argentina, Malawi, Botswana, Zimbabwe, and Bhutan. Let's have a deeper look into each of these places and see why they have been in news.
The first place in news is Argentina. Argentina was in news recently because it hosted the G20 summit, which comprises a mix of the world's largest advanced and emerging economies. Representing about 2/3 of the world's population, 85% of global gross domestic product, and over 75% of global trade. Argentina, located mostly in the southern half of South America, derives its name from the Latin word for silver, argentum, as Argentina is a great source of the valuable minerals. Its capital is Buenos Aires. It is the 8th largest country in the world and the 2nd largest country in South America after Brazil. The Spanish ruled the country for 300 years until 1806, when the British forces overpowered Spanish military, eventually loosening Spain's grip on Argentina. It finally gained independence in 1816. Argentina shares land borders with the Chile to the west, Bolivia and Paraguay to the north, Brazil, Uruguay and the Atlantic Ocean to the east, and the Drake Passage to the south. The Drake Passage is a narrow body of water between Antarctica and South America that serves as an ocean-going connecting point between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Argentina is dominated geographically by the Andes mountain range in the west, the fertile Pampas grassland region in the center, the lowland plains of Chaco in the north, and the plateau of Patagonia to the south. Its waters are influenced by 2 major ocean currents, the warm Brazil Current and the cold Falkland Current. The Southern Cone Common Market, Mercosur, is Argentina's most important trade agreement. It includes Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, and Venezuela, which is now suspended from its membership. Argentina lays claims to the British-ruled Falkland Islands.
The next places that we will be discussing are Malawi, Botswana, and Zimbabwe. These African countries were in news because the Vice President of India recently visited them. Looking at Malawi first, its capital is Lilongwe. Malawi was a British protectorate which was dissolved and Malawi became an independent country in 1964. Malawi is a landlocked country bordering Mozambique to the east, south and southeast, Zambia to the west, and Tanzania to the east and northeast. Malawi's landscape can be divided into 4 basic regions: the East African or Great Rift Valley, the Central Plateaus, the Highlands, and the isolated mountains. The East African Rift Valley is the dominant feature of the country and is a depression running through the country from north to south and containing Lake Malawi in the north and the Shire Valley in the south. Malawi is in dispute with Tanzania over the boundary in Lake Malawi. The plateaus of central Malawi cover about 3/4 of the total land area. Malawi is one of the poorest countries in the world with a Human Development Index ranking of 171 out of 187 countries according to UNDP's 2017 HDR.
Coming to the next place, that is Botswana. Its capital is Gaborone. In 1910, the countries to the south of today's Botswana formed a Union of South Africa that was home to and controlled by mainly the white Dutch and British settlers. Botswana wanted to be free and independent from South Africa and eventually gained its independence from Britain in 1966. It is a landlocked country bordered by Namibia on the west and north, by Zambia at a narrow strip in the north, by Zimbabwe on the east, and by South Africa on the east and south. The Molopo River creates a geographical border between South Africa and Botswana. The country's population is mainly Tswana, who speaks Bantu language. The Kalahari Desert in the south and west of it covers more than 70% of Botswana and touches 9 African countries. Though Kalahari isn't a true desert because it gets more rainfall each year than most deserts receive. Most of the country is covered by a grassland called savanna. The most common tree is the baobab tree, and some baobabs are 2000 years old. Resource-wise, Botswana's diamond mines collectively make up for one of the largest diamond reserves in the world. AIDS is an epidemic in Botswana, and it is one of the top 3 countries with regards to the prevalence rates of AIDS.
The next place we will be discussing is Zimbabwe. The capital city is called Harare, which was formerly known as Salisbury. Zimbabwe achieved internationally recognized independence in 1980 following a long period of colonial rule. Zimbabwe, formerly Rhodesia, is a landlocked country located in southern Africa. It is bordered by South Africa to the south, Mozambique to the east, Botswana to the west, and Zambia to the northwest. Zimbabwe lies to the north of the Tropic of Capricorn and is predominantly savanna, that is tropical grassland. Its principal physical feature is the broad ridge known as Highveld, which separates Zimbabwe from Mozambique. Victoria Falls, which is located on the border between Zimbabwe and Zambia, is considered the world's largest waterfall. Facing hyperinflation, in 2009, the government scrapped the local currency and adopted the US dollar. However, recently, its finance minister said that the country will have its own currency within the next 12 months once it has enough foreign currency to anchor it.
Looking at the last place for this session, that is Bhutan. It was in news because Bhutan's Prime Minister recently visited India in his first overseas visit. The capital of Bhutan is Thimphu. The Bhutanese name for Bhutan, Drakyul, means land of the thunder dragon, and it only began to open up to outsiders in the 1970s. Bhutan is a landlocked country sandwiched between China and India. Its location between India and China gives the country considerable geopolitical significance as it controls several key Himalayan mountain passes. Bhutan is divided into 3 main geographical areas. The lowlands or the Dwar Plains form its southern border with India. The lesser or lower Himalayas comprising fertile valleys like Paro, Punakha, Thimphu cover the central areas. The Great Himalayas stretch across its north. In the South Dwar Plains lies Bhutan's boundary with the Indian states of West Bengal and Assam. Bhutan borders the Indian states of Arunachal Pradesh to the east and Sikkim to the southwest. The Dwar Plain also constitutes a gateway to the strategic mountain passes known as Dwars or Duars. Bhutan is the world's only carbon sink country. That is, its forests absorb more carbon dioxide than the country gives out. 72% of the country is forested. In fact, it's in the Bhutan's constitution to keep 60% of its land forested. The Bhutia are the largest ethnic group and make up for about half of Bhutan's population. About 3/4 of Bhutan's population follows Buddhism, primarily of the Tibetan variety. Rather than using the GDP as an economic index, Bhutan measures its overall health through the gross national happiness. That is all for this session of Places and News. Hope this video proves helpful in your preparation. See you next time with a new set of places.